Hi everyone, welcome to the channel. I am your host Jeff Freeman, and tonight I am joined by author and medium Cheryl Lynn Carter. So back in June of 2023, I sat down and had a discussion with Cheryl, and we covered quite a few different subjects. And because of this, I've decided to break this conversation up into two separate parts, each running about 40 minutes. So I hope you will enjoy this part one, a conversation with Cheryl Lynn Carter. So we're here today with Cheryl Lynn Carter, and you are an author. You've written 8 books, is it so far?
Yes.
Wow. And you're also a medium, a historical researcher as well. Tell us a little bit about being a medium. That's very interesting.
Well, I was actually born this way. I just remember, ever since I was a little kid that I would know things that I shouldn't know. I would see people that other people didn't see, and I could, they were talking to me and I could talk to them.
Wow.
And for a long time, I thought everybody could do this.
It didn't seem strange to you at the time, right? As
When
kids.
you're a kid, yeah, can't everybody do this? Because I knew grandma could do it, so us two could do it, right?
Wow. So your grandmother, so it came down through from your grandmother.
It comes down through the line, yeah.
Wow. Very
And
interesting.
so, I lived with my grandma, and she knew the same stuff, and I says, yeah, we just do these things, and then when I start realizing that the other kids didn't do it, then I didn't talk about it
Right.
because, back then that was weird.
Mhm.
Now when you talk about that's cool, but then that's weird.
Yeah. Yeah. You'd be set apart really quick.
Hmm.
And being a child is hard enough anyway as it is, because kids can be cruel sometimes to other kids. So that's, something you have to be very, wary of. And obviously you found out right away to not talk about that. Was there some times that your grandmother shared with you different, kind of help guide you along, or give you
She
some
died
approach
when
there?
I was 12, so we didn't
Oh,
really get into all this, and
mhm,
she didn't talk about, oh, we got this ability. I mean, she just did things.
mhm,
She would know things were going to happen, just like I did.
mhm.
Like I would know somebody's coming to the house before they knocked on the door. I would know the phone's going to ring before it rang. We knew this stuff, and it was
And
kind of cool.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, I've experienced some of that myself,
I
growing
think
up.
we all do. Yeah.
Yeah, and you know what? And as children, I think we're more open to all of this, and then we start to find out that, oh no, we don't do that, or we can't do that, we start to close off some of those abilities that we have. But as children, and I've talked about this before, to say that when a child says that they have a childhood friend, or they can see certain other people or another child or something like that that
Mhm.
the parents can't see, we really need to try to pay attention to that
Exactly.
and kind of work with that a little bit, because we always are, the tendency is, oh, you're just, she just has a childhood friend, it's all imaginary. Maybe not.
Well, what happened to me? I think I was maybe 9 or 10
Hmm.
when things start coming to me in the middle of the night,
Really.
and they would fly over my bed and come right down into my face. Scared. Why do they do that?
I don't know,
You
did
know,
that
and
terrify you as a child, or
yeah, and then I would wake up screaming and stuff, and I remember my mother took me to the doctor, and she's telling him, and he goes, "She just doesn't want to go to bed."
Mhm.
Well, I do, but I don't want people to visit me when I'm trying to sleep.
Exactly.
And you always hear the story that, well, there's something under your bed. Well, I always slept in the middle of the bed because I knew if I stuck my hand too close to the edge of the bed, somebody might grab it. I mean, I knew.
Wow.
It wasn't anything bad, but it was something.
Hmm. Now, how did that develop as you went through the years?
It wasn't too much then when I was in grade school because I didn't know what it was. I was a little bit
Right.
afraid of it, but when I got to high school, it was better. But of all places, you don't talk about it because I didn't know anybody in high school that would say
Right.
such things.
Hmm.
And it wasn't until my senior year in high school that I met another girl, and she was talking about this. I said, "Oh
uh
my gosh, I'm not alone."
hmm
And
Wow.
one night she says, "Have you ever Do you ever lay in bed and look at the foot of your bed and watch yourself sleeping?" And I go, no, that sounds kind of cool. That's astral projecting, but I
Right.
don't think it had words back then,
Mm-hmm.
And I said, no, so I tried it, and I that was kind of scary. Because I said, what if I can't get back in my body? So I only did that like one time.
Wow.
Now I do it a lot when I'm sleeping. I don't know why I'm doing it when I'm
Oh,
sleeping.
really?
Yeah.
Can you
I go
talk about that
places.
a little bit? Yeah.
I
So
go
where?
places when I'm sleeping. Yes.
Wow. So what kind of places do you go? Anywhere in particular, or just somewhere new each time?
Somewhere new each time, and you're not dreaming because you're like flying above the earth,
Mhm.
like you're looking down at the land.
I've
And,
had
and
that.
I'll wake up and I'll just be really tired, so I know I've been traveling all night. It wasn't just a
Wow.
dream.
Right.
Yeah.
I've actually had that happen with me before too, a couple of times out of body. Also seen myself lying in my bed.
Yeah.
So yeah, I kind of can relate. I kind of I when it happened to me, I kind of saw it as it was an out of body experience, but I was thinking that I had actually passed.
Oh,
And
see,
then
yeah.
I came back to my body and woke up and then was amazed at the entire experience. Was it like that for you, or did you know? I mean, at the time, I thought, well, at the time, I wasn't even sure that it was after I woke up that I realized that, wow, did
No,
I just
no.
pass?
So when I was in high school, because my girlfriend says this is how you do it, and I didn't think I was dead,
Right.
but it was scary. That what if I can't get back in my body?
Yeah. Wow.
So I
And
said,
how did it develop from there?
well, I says I was just now I was starting to find books because we didn't have
Hmm.
the internet with all the TV shows and stuff to
Right.
talk about it.
Hmm.
So I'd start finding books and reading about it, and I says, okay, there's other people in this world.
That are experiencing things.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Hmm. Wow. So do you still work with that kind of thing now? I mean, one of the things I think you had mentioned before, because I met you in at Phenomicon. That's where
Mhm.
we first met in Vernal, Utah last year. Are you going to be at Phenomicon this year?
Yes, I am.
Awesome. Good. I get to see you there again. So I know that during that time, I think you had mentioned something to me about remote viewing as well. Is
Mhm.
that something that you kind of connect with the medium side of things, or is that completely different in your mind? I'm not really the remote viewing is something that I've talked to people about, but I haven't experienced or really tried to dig into. So is that a little bit of a like connection with the medium, or is that completely different?
Well, for me it is, and like I said, I used to do things and didn't know they had names, and so I would remote view a lot, but I didn't know it had a name. Maybe it didn't have a name at that time,
Maybe not.
you know.
Maybe not.
But
Yeah.
I go, oh, that's what I'm doing. But I'm with a group of people, and we work on missing person cases. And in order to do that, you are remote viewing.
Actually, I do remember you talking about that as well, missing person cases. Wow.
Mhm.
Can you talk about that a little bit without being specific about any
Yeah,
particular case?
yeah.
Tell us about how that works.
Well, there's six of us in the group, and we live in different states,
Mhm.
so we're not even together. And I think I've only met two people in person. So Dr. Chuck shows each one of us. Well, this is usually we've been doing child lately
Mhm.
because you
That's a
you
great
only
thing.
got 48 hours to bring that child home alive.
I've heard that, right?
You know,
Yeah.
yeah.
Mhm.
So and we want to bring them home either way. So he'll say, well, here's a picture of this child. They were abducted in Texas or something,
Mhm.
and that's it. Okay, so then I can look at that picture, and then I start seeing things, and I can like take myself to where the child is and who took
At that
them.
current time.
Yeah,
Wow.
and who took them, and and we could see what kind of buildings are around, what kind of noises do we hear, different things like that. So even though
Something to
I
give
don't have a
you a
specific street, I
right,
can give you a landmark. There's a bank here, there's a school over there, the
right.
greenhouse, something.
Mhm.
And we all call him up when we get our impressions, and he puts it all together, and then he notifies the police because he's got a connection, because otherwise if you just call the police, they go, yeah, psychic, okay.
Well, sometimes. I mean,
Yeah,
there's
but I mean, you
a
don't
lot.
know. Yeah. Yeah.
Right. Sometimes there are some police departments that do work with psychics and
Hmm.
mediums and things of that nature to try to find missing people or solve cases. So some are open to that. That's interesting. So he would have a connection. He would gather all the information from all of you.
Hmm.
Has that been successful to a degree with you guys? Or, I mean,
We've
tell us
we've
about that.
we've brought 500 children home at least.
Really? Oh, that's
Yeah,
fantastic.
we've solved some cold cases. Yeah.
Wow. That's
See,
fantastic.
another thing is when a child is missing, it might just not just be that someone abducted that child. We've found, 6 or 7 because it was part of human trafficking.
Oh, wow.
So
Wow.
you've saved lots of kids.
That's a great thing. That is really, really a good thing right there. Oh my gosh, that has to be so gratifying. I mean, in a way, when you do that, do you experience or get feelings that that person or child is going through while you're
Oh
doing that? I mean,
yes,
so you can feel that
yes,
fear or that, oh my gosh, that has to be
yeah. And
the
and when I'm all done with it, I am just totally exhausted.
I was gonna say, yeah.
Because it just uses up all your energy. And you're talking about police don't listen sometime. I was going to visit my sister in Illinois one time, and there was a woman that was missing by where she lived.
Mhm.
And so she goes, "What do you see?" And so I'm looking at the woman's picture, and I says, "Well," I said, she's like face down somewhere where she can't really see the sky to show me everything around her.
Wow.
It's all dark around her."
Mhm.
And I said, "I see the word water." "There's no water there." I said, "No, no, no. The word water."
Mhm.
So I called the police when I got there. I says, "Well, I don't know if you believe in psychics." And he goes, "What?" And I don't think he was even writing it down because you could tell he was just disgusted that he had to answer the phone.
Mm.
And so I'm trying to tell him, and he says, "There's no water there." "No, no, sir." I said, "I see the word water right next to her. There's something with the word water." "There's no water," he kept telling me. Okay, so I tried. I was so frustrated. A week later, they found her. It was a little country town. They have those drainage ditches
Mhm.
along the road. Her brother in law had killed her. I knew it was somebody that knew her. Her brother in law had killed her. Smart guy. He buried her in the drainage ditch in front of his house. And the neighbors saw him fill in the ditch with all these bags of potting soil. And so she called the police, and they found her. Now she was face down. That's why she couldn't see the surroundings to tell me,
Right.
but it was right next to the water tower.
Oh, wow.
Now, if they would just listen to me. I know that sounded crazy, but
But maybe not. I mean, like I said, many times we've heard cases where they've been solved because of a psychic or someone that was able to view that. Oh my gosh. Now
that was frustrating. It really
oh,
was. I
absolutely,
mean, she
because
was
you're
already dead, but still, it
yeah.
was frustrating. You could have found her sooner.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, for sure. Wow. But, then again, water, phew, I mean,
I mean, whenever a psychic tries to say something, they're by water, and I says that's the first thing I said to the policeman. I said, "I know I don't want to say she's by water, but," and I said, "but there's a sign. She's not by water. There's
mhm,
a sign.
right. Wow.
I could clearly see water."
Yep. Oh my gosh. That, in a way, like I was saying earlier, that has to be really gratifying, though, to be able
Mm,
to save a missing person. Um, and you said 500. That's incredible. But it also, does it leave you with has it ever left you with any kind of residual feelings or, I mean, could it affect you in a bad way?
it hasn't to
Oh,
me.
that's good.
No, no.
Yeah. Wow.
And I have a composite software like the police use.
Hmm.
So if so if somebody a child was abducted, I can say, well, this is the person that took them. I can do a composite drawing. The eyebrows, the forehead, the nose. You plug them in until you get a face that looks like what you want.
Hmm.
So you don't have to have any drawing skills. Oh yeah, and I can't tell you how many times that my picture was the picture of the person
Oh, wow.
that took them, so that helps too. We're looking for this person.
Hmm. Oh, absolutely. Wow. That's incredible. And so, and this is still going on today. You're still meeting with this group of
Yeah, we've been
people.
doing this for almost 6 years. Yes.
That's amazing. That's really good work. And to save that many people, that's incredible. Wow. That's really a fascinating. That's a fascinating subject, and in the remote viewing even as well, because and again, that's not something that I've really spent any time. I've really been exposed to it since I've been part of the insiders group with the Skinwalker Ranch, and watching and listening to them. There are several people that talk about that in that group, and I've sat and listened to them sometimes. And I don't want to jump into the conversation because I don't know anything about it, but obviously learning about it, that's really amazing.
Well, there's different kinds of remote viewing.
Could you explain that to me a little bit?
See, because mine is just natural.
Hmm.
There's some people when they're doing this remote viewing, they don't have a target.
Just go
It's like
wherever.
mine's just natural. I couldn't tell you how I do it at all.
Hmm.
And there's other ones where they give somebody a target, but you don't know what it is, and you're drawing what you see around the areas.
Okay. Yeah.
I've tried doing that too, but that's I need to get right to my target right away.
Yeah. As a matter of fact, I remember watching on an episode of Expedition Bigfoot
Yeah.
when Ronnie LeBlanc had a gentleman come out and remote view, and he actually was very accurate. It was a pretty
See, he was
amazing.
doing that. He's doing that other method. Yeah,
Yeah, he sat down and he drew like a chain link fence,
I
and
know.
there
I
was a
saw it
couple.
all. That was
Yeah,
great.
that was amazing.
Mhm.
That was one of my first exposures to seeing something like that, and I was impressed. Is this something that gets better with, like, practice, like
Practice,
it's
of
with other
course,
groups?
of
Okay.
course. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Wow, that's
Just
really
just
amazing.
like being a medium, if you don't keep practicing, it probably gets a little rusty too. Yeah,
Yeah, I would imagine,
yeah,
right.
yeah.
Wow, that's truly amazing. Have you written any books on this?
No,
It
not
would be
yet.
interesting to see
Not
that
yet.
depth.
I should.
Yeah, I was just thinking about that. That would be a very interesting read, to maybe talk about. Of course, you wouldn't want to get into specifics, especially with the missing person cases. You wouldn't want to keep the privacy of those who you helped, but to talk about it in general, like in a book, that might be interesting. That would be a interesting read.
Well,
Um,
like I was going to tell you that, like the very first case we did,
mhm.
I remote viewed to the Ukraine.
Oh, really?
Now,
Wow.
what do I know about the Ukraine?
Yeah, I would know nothing about it at all. Can you
Yeah,
can
and
you
then
talk
I did.
about that
I
for a minute?
described the street where the woman was taken, and
Wow.
I couldn't see the building she was in, but it was like an old warehouse or something factory, and it was dust on the machinery, and I heard a train whistle in the background. I'd
Wow.
never been to Ukraine, but I
How
remote.
did you know it was the Ukraine? I mean, was there
So we
something?
knew that. We knew that one.
Oh, ahead of time.
Yeah,
Okay, okay. Wow. I guess you
but
know
that
what?
yeah.
I guess
That
something
one,
like that
that one,
wouldn't
all
matter.
I knew was someone was in the Ukraine. I didn't even know what she looked like. We didn't have a picture of her.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Because I guess in a situation like that, I don't think that space or distance matters. I
No.
really don't.
Uh-uh.
So many times like that, even we think about, oh, it's so far away, but I think in that realm, I don't think it really matters at all. Wow.
No, that's quite easy to do. I was like, wow.
That's amazing. Have you tried now, I know that you have an interest in cryptids as well. Like maybe even Bigfoot, or there's many other Dogman. There's a lot of different types of cryptids. We've heard about Mothman, the legend of Mothman, and things like that. A lot of people would poo-poo that kind of thing, and oh, there's nothing there. That's absolutely hogwash. Um, but, on the subject of Bigfoot, there are so many incredible, I should say, let me back that up. There are so many credible people that I've talked to myself, even that have had experiences and seen things like that,
Mhm.
that you can't just dismiss the whole notion out of hand. You can't. And you go back also with the legends of the indigenous peoples. Those legends go back a long, long time, talking about even families of Bigfoot.
Mhm.
They've actually, you know, passed on in their, they actually traded with or taught, I don't know about talking with, but they actually were,
Mhm.
interacted with, I guess is the word I'm looking for. Do you believe in Bigfoot as well? I mean, have you
Oh, yeah.
researched? Yeah.
Yeah, I've actually found some really cool tree structures
Oh, really? Where at? I mean, if you don't mind my asking.
in Michigan, in
Oh,
Michigan.
wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. And I showed him to Ronnie LeBlanc, and he was just so excited. I go, "Do you think this is something?" He goes, "Yes, yes."
Yeah, he was pretty interesting. I've had Russell Acord on the show before. He was on actually a couple months ago. We're waiting for season 4 to start of Expedition Bigfoot, but Ronnie LeBlanc and I'd like to get Dr. Mariah Mayer on as well. I've
Yeah,
talked to both of them, and Ronnie, we're waiting for season 4 to come out. It still hasn't. We haven't heard anything yet. But
yeah.
so tell us a little bit about that research that you've done.
Well, I was actually looking for I was going into these old woods.
Mhm.
There used to be an asylum there. And I was looking for the foundation is what I was.
Okay.
I was doing a paranormal thing instead. And I start going down this one trail and I go, what the heck? And I went a little farther and you saw the big crosses, the trees
Mhm.
are crossed, but I mean
Yep.
we're talking way high and there are a couple crosses. The trees bent over.
Hmm.
It was like a whole little pathway that they were walking. I don't know what those were supposed to mean. Keep out or here I am. I'm not sure.
Right. Yeah. I don't think we have any idea of what they mean
Yeah.
yet. Yep.
And that's when I found this some kind of structure that you could tell something was living in.
Hmm.
And I crawled inside, I did. Didn't
What'd you
find
find?
any didn't find anything good, but yeah, I crawled inside, but
Wow.
it was big enough something could be living in there.
Right. Wow. Yeah.
So it was
I've been on a couple of expeditions so far, with other groups, and they've shown me some very interesting things. Now, the tree structures, you look at that, and again, you mentioned it was very high up. And that's something that I found to be very interesting is that sometimes or tree breaks that are very tall, very high up where I couldn't reach it myself. So
mhm,
a tree that's, not that big around, but being snapped off at a very high, not
mhm,
in just one or two in an area where there's many around, where if it was a straight line wind or something like that, or snow load or anything like
mhm,
that, it would have been multiple would have been broken, but it's just one or two. Or you find out that they've been broken off in a different area and all brought to a particular area and then set up, like you said,
mhm,
maybe to make a sign or something. Um, and again, we don't know what that means,
mhm,
but they're different patterns
mhm.
of the way they're laid out. So obviously that tells me, yes, it must be a sign or something, an indication, or go this way or don't go this way or
Yeah.
something. We just don't know.
And what you gotta be careful when you're looking at stuff, maybe the trees did fall over.
Right. Yep.
Maybe something because you gotta know what you're looking
Look
for,
for the roots. Now,
you
did it
know?
come up right there and the roots are there,
Yeah.
or was it put somewhere
Yeah,
other than
don't
that?
don't
Yeah.
just say, "Oh, look, there's one there, there's one there." No,
Yep.
you gotta, you know,
Yep.
dismiss that one. That was just a tree falling down.
Mhm. No, absolutely. Yeah. Wow. So have you been on quite a few different expeditions doing, research on Bigfoot?
Not this year, I haven't done anything,
Mhm.
no. I wanna do soon,
Wow.
hope.
Now you said
I'd like to go
Michigan.
back to that place because that looks promising there.
Yeah, I'm in Michigan now, actually, and I had, I was out. I lived in the Pacific Northwest for a few years, but
Uh-huh,
when I was out there, I wasn't really into it. I really didn't pay much attention to it. I was all, and still am, a skeptic on Bigfoot, or I'm open minded on the subject. I'm always one of those people that said, "Where's the bones?" But
it is
again,
curious, isn't it? Yeah.
yeah. But then again, like I said, with all the credible eyewitness testimonies and things from different people, park rangers and people who are paid observers, and very not, you can't just dismiss it. You just can't. And Michigan, I heard, is a a hot spot, maybe up into the UP. So
Yeah, but I mean, maybe they bury their dead like we do.
possible, yeah, yeah, or take them someplace where a cave system or something like that we're not aware of. But
But
wow,
I've got a friend. I would call him a Bigfoot expert because he lives in New Mexico, and there is a Bigfoot family unit that he watches.
oh wow, that's
Yeah.
fantastic.
And he says they migrate. They don't stay in one place. They migrate because they're
Makes
looking
sense,
for food.
right? Makes sense,
They'll go so far. He's great. He's got all these casts, and people laugh. He goes, "This is Bigfoot's cat," and he goes, "You know why this is important? Because you can see what are they eating.
right?
That's how he knows how far they travel by what he's finding there, the
Mhm.
twigs, the berries.
Right.
Like this particular item is 100 miles away, so they had walked 100 miles to go get that and come back.
Wow.
It's quite interesting.
Now, are you of the thought that they have been around here? They're a creature that's been, um, on the earth for a long time and just has remained at least in the modern times has remained, um, I was going to say invisible, but not has remained hidden
Right.
from in modern times, or there are people that would believe that they are some sort of an interdimensional creature. How do you feel about those two subjects? Do you
Well,
feel that
I kind of wonder about that because how can it be there and then it's gone
exactly?
that quickly?
All right. Yep. Yeah, and even on the show Expedition Bigfoot, they've caught some very interesting things. The shadow that was, when they were down in the it was Ronnie and Dr. Mariah Mayer when they saw the
Right, and
shadow.
it was like that went into a dimension, right? It was just
Yeah,
like
exactly.
was car.
Same
Well,
thing
like
happened with
yeah,
Rusty.
one time I was up at we're investigating Bachelor's Grove Cemetery up in Chicago, and I didn't know there were Bigfoot around there. That's not what we're looking for. But we went walking down this trail, and all of a sudden we heard tree knocking.
Mhm.
And my friend that was filming was from the UK, and he says, "Someone's chopping down some wood." I said, "No, we're in a forest preserve. They can't do that."
Right.
And I'm going, "My gosh, is it a Bigfoot?" Yeah, and I don't want to say it because he doesn't know what it is,
Mhm.
and so we keep hearing the knocking, and he should have done his voiceovers when he got home. Ladies and gentlemen, there's street. I'm going, shut up, you know, so we can hear it, but you can hear it on the video.
Wow.
And so I tried to knock on something and it would knock back. And I couldn't go walking down closer to it because he's the country gentleman, so he wears a suit. So I had a dress on that day and I couldn't crawl in there. If I had my jeans on, I probably would have crawled in there. But then it
Yep.
stopped. Okay, so we start walking down the rest of the trail and there's a tree structure right there at the end of the trail. And I go,
Wow.
wow. So then we turn around, start coming back. We got to the same spot, and there's the tree knocking again.
Hmm.
So now we're standing there. There's was a stream there, but it was all dry that summer, so there was no water in it. And all of a sudden, something walked between us. We couldn't see it. It smelled so bad,
Oh, wow.
but it walked between us and then across to the stream bed. So where was it? Was it in another dimension? Was it cloaked?
Did you hear? I mean, was it just the smell, or did you hear the movement? Did you hear the splashing of the
You
feet?
could feel the air
Mhm.
moving
Wow.
between you. Yeah.
A thought occurred to me to ask the question, have you ever tried to remote view with a Bigfoot to see
No,
or anything like that?
that'd be a good idea. No.
Yeah. I thought that would be, because and then you might actually get a better idea of where to go look too. Now,
Uh-huh.
I'm of the mind, that I clearly said this on the podcast talking about Bigfoot that, I'm of the mind that if I was to actually come across Bigfoot myself, a Bigfoot, um, and came face to face. In other words, I got to a point where in my mind there was absolutely no doubt. I saw one, there he was, we were making eye
Mhm.
contact, whatever.
Mhm.
No doubt in my mind. Would I share that information? And I thought about that. Now, I would share the information more than likely, but I would not talk about where,
Exactly.
because I don't want it to make, if Bigfoot does exist, I wouldn't want to make their existence worse by drawing attention to that particular place and time. So I would try to help preserve that. I
Mhm.
would know. Now, at that point, I would know. And I wouldn't need to go out and try to get proof, because you're going to get the skeptics that aren't going to believe you anyway.
Mhm.
Even if you had bones, you would have those that didn't believe it. So I would say, you know what? I know now at that point, and that's good enough for me.
I would
You-
like to talk telepathically too.
Mhm. It would be interesting. So yeah, I implore you to try that sometime. So
Yeah.
try to remote view or use that medium side. You're talking about finding missing persons.
Uh-huh.
Maybe it'll work and
Yeah.
see what happens.
That's
And
an
then
idea.
let me know, and we'll go out and look together. We'll go do a little research. But again, I think that if Bigfoot exists, and I still say if, because I honestly I have never seen anything that I would say, oh my gosh, I think that was a Bigfoot.
Yeah, I
It's
haven't
never
seen
happened.
one, but I've
Right.
seen the structures. Yeah.
Hmm. Right. I've seen evidence,
Yeah.
but nothing tangible to say, okay, yeah, that was a Bigfoot. So yeah, let me know if you try that, and if you find
But
anything.
I did touch the cast that he had,
Mhm.
because what I can do, it's called psychometry,
Yes.
where you touch something, you get a vision.
Mhm.
And I was getting visions of whatever, this one that one belonged to.
Wow.
And so there was a little baby one, and probably about as big as our hand. And I'm holding that one, and I says, do they carry their young on their back? That's what I saw.
Mhm.
He goes,
Wow.
yes, they do. I said, yeah, I see him holding on to his mother's back,
Wow.
so.
Very interesting.
Yeah. And then there was another one. I says, ooh, this one's really dark brown, almost black. He goes, yeah. See, these are the family group
Hmm.
that he sees.
Right.
But there was another one when I'm holding it. I says, I'm not getting anything. It won't let me.
Hmm.
It won't let me see.
Locked for some reason.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So, So
Wow.
do they do that to people? That's why you can't see them. They block something.
Hmm. Yeah. Well, now I'm going to jump into a whole different subject that may be related, maybe not.
Uh-huh.
Talking about orbs and portals. I have seen orbs. I've seen lights. Then when in places where there should be no
Right.
light. There's a lot of places, especially up in northern Michigan, where you go for miles and miles and miles where there is no other, there's no houses, there's no
Right.
so and you're driving down the side of the road, and all of a sudden you see a light out of this corner of your eye. And then you stop, and you go back, it's gone. Now what caused that light?
Mm-hmm.
Now, so in orbs and things of that nature, is it could be related. People think, and we talked earlier about, is the Bigfoot or other cryptids have the ability to somehow cloak or go into a portal of some sort. Talk to me a little bit about that. What's your thoughts on that?
Well,
Not
that's what it
not
says.
necessarily related to Bigfoot, but
Yeah,
yeah,
I believe that they can go into something like that. I do. Just the way you see, they weren't there. All of a sudden they're there, and then all of a sudden, in 3 steps, they've just disappeared. Where'd they go?
exactly. Yeah.
They should be there. Yeah, I do.
So take us down the whole portals and orbs and things a little bit. Talk about that a little.
I saw a portal open one time.
Did you really? Wow.
I did. I didn't think I ever believed in that either. Yeah,
May I
I'm
ask where this was?
I'm driving down Woodward in Michigan. Yeah, that's a busy street. Probably about 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Sky's perfectly blue, no clouds.
Wow.
And I looked up in the sky, and the sky just tore open. And I go, what? And this silver disc shaped object came out.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah.
And did anyone else seem to notice this, or was it just
That's the weird thing. It was like everything around me stopped. And I go,
Really?
why is no one else seeing this? Maybe I wasn't supposed to see it.
Wow.
You
Or
know?
maybe you were. Maybe you were the only one that was supposed
Yeah,
to see it.
yeah. And I could not take my eyes off of it. And I didn't see lights, it's the middle of the day. I didn't see lights on it or anything, but could be, who knows? All I know is a silver shaped, disc shaped object. And I don't know how long I watched it, and all of a sudden, everything was moving again. And I saw the sky open up again. It went inside, then the sky just closed like nothing.
Hmm. So
So
when
I
you
think
say
I
things
saw a
stopped,
portal.
I mean everything around stopped, like
To
a
me,
moment in
to me,
time?
to me it did. I don't know if it really probably didn't. To me,
Oh,
it
okay, I
did.
see. Yeah,
You know what I mean?
right. Wow. And it came out and then just went back in? It was like
Yeah,
how long of a time period did pass, do you think? I mean, it could have been hours, but then again, it could have been just
maybe,
a
maybe,
moment.
maybe 10 minutes.
Oh, 10 minutes.
It
Wow.
wasn't long. No,
Wow. Well, you think about that, that is kind of
that,
long.
that
That's
is long. Yeah, yeah,
10 minutes. Wow.
yeah. But it's like it came out and go. I'm not supposed to be here. I better go.
Well, they talk about that even on Skinwalker Ranch. I mean,
Yeah.
we there are many times where they think that happens right there. And if that would give you an explanation to some degree as to why all of a sudden you're seeing, orbs or even uh, UAP appear and then disappear within a moment. There's times where they saw them on, there's been some clips that we've seen
Mhm.
where, they were watching one track across the night sky and then just faded away
I remember that one. Yeah.
like it went inside a portal or something like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
So, I'm of the mind I've never seen a portal. I have seen some very strange things happen. Um, I won't describe that right now. I think I've actually described it a little bit on a different podcast, but um, so I know without a doubt in my mind that there are things that happen around our world. The fabric of how do I say this? The fabric of our world
Mhm.
that we see, that we think we see, may not exactly be. It may be a presentation rather than being a real thing. Does that make sense?
Yes.
What do you
Yes.
think about that? I mean, that's kind of what the way it happened to me. So, is it possible that portals exist? Is it possible that we're in some sort of a matrix? I don't know. But you think about that. That's a crazy thought, right? But is
Yeah.
it possible? Maybe.
I don't know what that was. I just know the sky opened up, and
Right.
it shouldn't do that.
And it shouldn't do that.
And strange
Yeah.
things like that shouldn't come out.
Right. Wow. Interesting. Um, so orbs, have you seen different types of things like that as well?
Yeah.
What
We.
do you think of an orb? I mean, I've seen orbs and I've seen like, and I was just talking about this the other night where I was out and we were snapping pictures and there was a very, very light rain. And I had to dismiss every single photograph I took that had any kind of an orb in it at that point because it could have been the raindrops I was picking up.
Or the mold coming up from the ground that will make little spots
Yes.
too. Yes.
Yes, they will. Um, but there are times where I've captured some that were unexplainable in at least as far as a
Intelligent,
picture
and
is
they're
concerned.
intelligent.
Yeah, and they move like the one we saw on Skinwalker Ranch again at Homestead too. What's your experience with orbs? Thank you for joining us here for part one with medium and author Cheryl Lynn Carter. I hope you've enjoyed tonight and you will check out part two.